Hey guys. This is part 5 of What If Sarada Went Back in Time and Met Team 7. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start. Chapter 16. You think it's the next progression? Or I would say the probability is high. In the clan legends, it is called Omayanome. It gifts its wielder with the ability to slip through the cracks in time, by minutes or hours, if enough chakra is expended. It differs from a Izanagi in that instead of simply creating a powerful illusion, a person might punch a hole through time itself, which is dangerous, Sarada concludes. And that's why no one in the clan could know about it, exactly. If such an ability were common knowledge, certain members of the clan would have gone to great lengths to ensure everyone could use that ability. More than that, outsiders might attempt to capitalize on it, he says. To ensure that didn't happen, the secret was guarded. Should someone from the clan awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan and inherit the ability to shape time, they were dealt with swiftly and quietly. You mean, execution, Itachi confirms neutrally. If they were so unfortunate as to have children as well, they too were eradicated. That's horrible. Sarada gasps at his clinical attitude toward the whole subject. She has always known that as a member of a prestigious clan, there are certain traditions and practices from the past which are now considered inhumane. She's seen it with the Hyuga, where some of the older generations still possess brands upon their foreheads from the time when they were practically enslaved by the main family. She just never considered what her own family's brutal history might entail. It was horrible, Itachi agrees softly, but necessary. Human beings are too controlled by their emotions, and would no doubt be tempted to change reality to suit their own purposes. The Uchiha were particularly prone to favoring emotion over pragmatism. When one incident nearly resulted in the entire clan being destroyed, the council deemed these executions necessary, and they were meticulously enforced. Sarada swallows her next remark, that the Uchiha Council's ruling would ultimately be useless thanks to the man in front of her, and forces herself to keep her mind on the mission. So if you can't use Omayanome, and neither can my father, and all the other Uchiha who could use it are dead, she muses, trailing off. Following her own logic, a horrible thought occurs from her. Hold on, could it be me? She doesn't give him a chance to respond before rambling on. Maybe in the future, I unlock the Mangekyo, and it's me that gets the ability. And then I change something in time, and it causes this whole mess. And I'm so busy trying to fix it that Itachi's headshake is as effective in stopping her progressively agitated tone as if he had verbally cut her off. There is a less than 1% chance of you acquiring a recessive gene like that, he assures her. And even if you did, the chances of you ever developing the Mangekyo Sharingan to begin with are slim. I don't follow. I know my brother. And from what I have seen of your mother, both outside of this genjutsu and through you, I imagine you parents will move heaven and earth to spare you the opportunity. But it's still not impossible. Even if you had it, you don't strike me as the type of person that would selfishly put the entire world at risk just to go back and change your personal circumstances. Sarada isn't so sure about that. There are quite a few aspects of her life that she would change if she could. Quite a few realities she wouldn't mind altering, not just for her own sake but for that of the people she loves. Itachi notices her uncertainty. Answer me this. Would you risk everything you know and love, everything you have now, just to go back and change it all? To save someone, maybe, she answers honestly. Even if it meant that the person, or perhaps several persons, that you care for might cease to exist due to your own actions. Sarada opens her mouth to reply but finds that she is even less certain now. Itachi nods as if he expected this. Exactly. That is the risk you take when you change time, and only someone who has never experienced caring for another would make that decision. Which is a pretty good point, actually. If something happened to her parents or friends, Sarada would of course jump at the chance to go back and save them. However, if something in her travels caused her to lose them anyhow, alright. I guess it makes sense, she concedes slowly. But that brings us back to my question from before. Who's doing it? If it's not any of the US, and any Uchiha with the ability was already killed off. Anyone that was recorded by the clan, at any rate. Right, anyone that was… Wait. What's that supposed to mean? There's only one person whose fate was never accounted for, he says grimly, but it's impossible, because that person can't have survived. Survived when you… She doesn't want to say the words again. No. Itachi's eyes flash. I mean, they can't be alive any longer because it has been centuries since she is said to have existed. I don't understand. The origin of Omayanome was an Uchiha clanswoman. Tyoko Uchiha. The name is unfamiliar, but by now, Sarada expects that. She was a prodigy, according to the stories that were passed down. Powerful, strong, and the pride of her people. And she's the one who figured out how to travel in time? Yes. When it was discovered she could move through time, the Uchiha believed they had birthed their savior. She would be the matriarch of a new generation, a woman who would bear warriors that would make the Uchiha the most powerful clan in the world. So what happened? If she were that important, wouldn't she have been mentioned in the history books? Not necessarily, which isn't surprising, given what Itachi has said and how close-lipped her father is about their ancestors. Sarada is familiar enough with the wars between the Senju and the Uchiha from her days in the academy, but not in any amount of depth. The popular story is that she fell ill, Itachi tells her. She survived but was rendered barren. Without being able to have children who could inherit her particular skills, her value in the clan went down. But that's not fair. It's not like she got sick on purpose. And obviously there were still other people who had the same ability without her having children. I mean, you said before that they kept being born into the clan. Yes. There were those who shared her ability to slip through time, but she was the only one to master it completely. Instead of minutes or hours, she could travel back days. Weeks. Some say months. It was her mastery that the clan wanted to breed into their descendants, and without that, she became obsolete. Hold on, Sarada makes a face. They wanted people who could change time? I thought you said before that the ability was too dangerous. Circumstances change. During the height of the wars between the Uchiha and the Senju, such a quality was desired. In times of peace, however feeble, anyone who might use Omayanome was a threat. Right. Sarada considers all of this. Is that why they killed her? Because she could potentially change the past? Not exactly. She fled the clan and no one ever heard from her again. Why? One of her relatives had at that point discovered the secret to unlocking the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan and sought to take her eyes. Unlocking the what? Itachi tilts his head to one side, frowning. Your father hasn't explained. He explained what the Mangekyo Sharingan was, not the thing you just said, Sarada defends. He told me all about it after I awakened the Sharingan. I wanted to know why ours looked different. He said his was more advanced, but that it came at a great price. And then earlier the younger version of him, said that to get it he had to kill the person Wait. With every syllable, she finds herself arriving at a very disturbing possibility. One which grows even more likely as she watches her uncle's expression. He does not look surprised or even resigned, but rather like her words are exactly what he expected. No, she whispers. He has to kill me, Itachi confirms calmly, maddeningly unruffled by this news. I suppose it's a small comfort. How is that a comfort? Sarada chokes. I slaughtered my own family, Itachi reminds her tonelessly. Death is the least of the penalties I deserve. For it to come by Sasuke's hand is fitting. It sounds like you're using him to commit suicide, Sarada tells him, feeling sick. When Itachi says nothing, her eyes widen. That's it, isn't it? You knew what you were doing was horrible and that you had to be punished for it. But the only one who would ever be able to do that was my father. She clenches her fist. But if you knew it was wrong, why did you do it in the first place? His jaws firm and he shakes his head once, a clear refusal to answer. Sarada wants to scream in frustration. Itachi Uchiha is a walking contradiction, utterly reserved in one instant, but with eyes that betray someone whose soul may once have been pure. He clearly feels regret, and even pain over the deeds of his past, but at the same time he refuses to apologize for them, or even elaborate. Even her father, reticent as he is capable of expressing remorse for his past deeds. Deeds that can have been as horrible as massacring their entire family. Sarada clenches her fists, takes a deep breath and fights back the never-ending sea of irrelevant questions that threaten to explode out of her. Instead, she focuses on things he is required to answer. What's the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan? She asks. And don't say I have to wait for my father to tell me. It's completely relevant to what we're doing here. He nods his head once, grim. You've heard of the Mangekyo Sharingan, and you know the immediate price, yes? Yes. You have to kill the person you love most. That, or witness the death of the person you love most, Itachi confirms, his eyes momentarily going out of focus as if he is thinking of something long past. But in the long term, there's another price. The more you use it, the quicker you will lose your sight. Sarada's eyes widen and she reconsidered Itachi in shock, studying his features. Suddenly the odd squinting she noticed earlier made sense. You mean if I am lucky, I'll retain my vision for another year. Possibly two, he dismisses. Does your Sasuke know? No. Not in this time, at least. I gather he knows about it in the future, however. How do you know? Is your father blind? What? No, then he has attained the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, which can only be done by taking the eyes of another, blood-related Mangekyo Sharingan user and transplanting them. And the only other Mangekyo Sharingan user in the world is… No. Sarada stares at her uncle in horror. Thoughts flit through her brain in rapid succession. Her observations earlier that her father's eyes seemed strange. She believed it was because the younger version doesn't possess the Rinnegan, but now that she thinks about it, the real difference were the eyes themselves. A memory hits her of meeting her father for the first time in 10 years. On their way back to Konoha, she kept sneaking glances, committing everything about him to memory, and she remembers thinking that their eyes were different, and not just because she wears glasses. With her newly awakened Sharingan, she noticed the color wasn't completely identical. At the time she shrugged it off as something that changed with age. The young Sasuke Uchiha's eyes are cold and hard and an unyielding black. But her father's, there's something different about the coloring, a shade lighter, something warm that she can't identify, but which she is staring at right now as Itachi watches her putting together the pieces. He has your eyes, she breathes. So it would seem. Does he know that has to happen? I don't think so. If he does, he did not mention it the last time we met. And you didn't bring it up? We were, otherwise engaged. Sarada decides that's a conversation she doesn't want to have with him. In fact, the information is veering into territory that makes her stomach quiver. I wanted to know, she chides herself, deciding that perhaps her parents were right not to answer her questions when she was younger. So this Tyoko person, she murmurs faintly, changing the subject, she had a Mangekyo Sharingan. And someone wanted to steal it to make themselves stronger? The practice was very common in the past centuries. No wonder she ran away, Sarada mutters. Privately, she thinks that if the Uchiha clan were like this, it's for the best that they were destroyed. Within seconds of this idea, however, she feels guilty and embarrassed for thinking it. Once again, Itachi seems to guess her frame of mind. Not every Uchiha was so narrow-minded or sought power above all things. Some fought and died to protect their loved ones and the village above all else. My friend Shursui was one, but you killed him anyway. No. Itachi's answer is sharp, and almost angry. I would no more be able to kill Shursui than I would ever be able to kill Sasuke. Would you be able to kill your own brother? I don't have a brother. Itachi offers a barely there shrug of acknowledgement. That might change, one day. Restoring a clan takes more than one talented daughter. Warmth rushes to Sarada's cheeks and she crosses her arms. Don't think complimenting me is going to make me forgive you, she warns, although there's less iron in her tone than before. And those are my parents you're talking about right now, gross. I suppose I have been indelicate. Right, Sarada agrees with a firm nod of the head, inwardly chiding herself as well. So everyone who might have the ability was killed, and the only person to ever have any small chance of traveling through time disappeared. Yes, ugh. She rubs her temples to try to ease the oncoming headache. The motion is more out of habit than any true relief, as within this genjutsu world of her uncle's, she can't feel anything. And there's absolutely no way the stories were wrong. Like maybe she could still have children, and went off somewhere to have a secret family? It's a common plot to those horrible television shows Chocho makes her watch. If the records are correct, her womb was removed. Sarada makes a face. Where is all this written? That is something else. My father will have to tell me, Sarada grumbles. You have a real problem answering questions directly, don't you? I bet if I asked you what your favorite food was, you'd tell me to go ask my father. Actually, it's dango. Sarada opens her mouth to retort, then closes it, and squints at him. Okay, I didn't expect that. In any case, given the fact that Tyoko was so important to the Uchiha, locating her body was paramount. It was one of the clan duties for several generations after the initial disappearance. But you said yourself, she could travel in time, Sarada points out. What if, just to get away from whoever was trying to steal her eyes, she stepped through time? Only, instead of ending up a month or so in the past or future, she ended up here. Sarada clasps her hands in front of her, fingertips to her chin in what her mother calls her thinking pose. It's probably stressful if your own family is trying to kill you. You might make a lot of miscalculations with your abilities and using your chakra. I've had friends who overexerted themselves, and they accidentally tapped into strong abilities, but the burnout right after was bad. The first time Boruto tried to use shadow clones, he knocked himself out for 3 days. It would be a long trip, Itachi agrees, picking up her train of thought. It could have weakened her, to the point where even a genin of negligible talent might subdue her. And if the individual in question who stumbled upon her was Orochimaru, who is definitely involved somehow, if only because his insane experiments are causing trouble for everyone, It would simply be a matter of incapacitating her and running his experiments, Itachi concludes, and despite the softness of his voice, there is a dangerous note running through it. Sarada can detect something like anger for the first time. That individual is a reoccurring nuisance. I should have killed him long ago. You can't do that, Sarada tells him. He's sort of my father's sensei, so killing him would probably cause some kind of paradox. Itachi doesn't look entirely pleased with this information, but he doesn't pursue the matter. Do you think she's trying to get back? Tyoko. Do you think the reason that there's this time travel bubble is because she's somehow trying to get enough power to return to whatever time she came from? I mean, if that is what's going on here, because right now it just sounds like a really complicated, unbelievable guess. There is no other theory that would be even half as plausible, Itachi replies. And as for her motives, that would be anyone's guess. The legends never really indicated the woman's exact frame of mind, if she has any left. I've met enough of Orochimaru's experiments to know they don't exactly represent the ideal picture of sanity, Sarada says, shuddering at the memories of Shin Uchiha, Miyumi, and the unnamed ghost that threw her off a cliff. Could he have played with her brain or something so he could gain control of her time travel abilities? Or stolen her eyes, or cloned her? Perhaps. It doesn't account for the amount of chakra it would take to create the circumference of this time distortion. Unless he's managed to augment it somehow. The guy managed to replicate Lord Force Horatian and lock an army of crazy curse seal monsters underground. I wouldn't put it past him, Sarada deadpans. So what's the plan? The plan? To fix all this. To stop the phenomenon, whatever his technology or device Orochimaru is responsible for needs to be stopped from augmenting the distortion. Once that's done, the origin of the distortion, if it is Tyoko, must be destroyed. So that's what you're going to do? No. Sarada's mind practically grinds to a halt at this unexpected response. What? What do you mean, no? I already told you, Sarada. I cannot be here longer than necessary. And given what you mentioned about your father and his team, they will likely continue to investigate this. I cannot put myself into a situation where Sasuke and I meet again. He will try to kill me, and I'll be forced to incapacitate him again. That's the last thing needed at this juncture if there's a chance of putting the world back to rights. Are you kidding me? What we're dealing with could be stronger than all of us, and you're supposed to be a genius. My parents both say so, and we need your help. Are you saying you can't figure out a way to put aside your, whatever, between you and Sasuke long enough to save the damn world? I cannot interfere. Not more than I already have. In fact, it's best that I leave as soon as I release you. But you came here specifically to figure out what's going on, and now that I've found out, I have to leave. I'm not meant to interfere in this. Why not? His mouth tightens in annoyance. Likely he isn't used to having his decisions questioned very often. Now he definitely looks like her father. Because of the complication. Then uncomplicated. The longer I am in contact with you and what you represent, the harder it will be for me to make myself forget. Itachi snaps, and suddenly the calm, composed demeanor is gone. Her uncle stares down at her wildly, his entire frame radiating frustration and agitation. It's a shocking change, not least of all because Sarada suspects he is not one to raise his voice even when he is furious. If I were to go with you, and we somehow managed to find your father and his team, and if somehow my brother managed to put aside his hatred for me long enough to work together to stop this, and knowing what I know now, he cuts himself off, swallows convulsively, and visibly comports himself. You are a symbol, the final, utterly underserved, recompense for the deeds I carried out. You are the future of the village, the proof that Sasuke will one day, at long last, be happy. Even more than that, more than I would ever expect, you are the proof that I will one day be forgiven. And every second that I am here with you, that truth become more real to me, closer to my heart and more tempting to hold on to. And that could put everything at risk. But what if you're supposed to know? Sarada counters. What if the you my father talks about already knew all this the first time and did everything he's going to do despite it all? Then he would be a better man than I know I am, Itachi answers softly, and the naked pain in his eyes tells Sarada that what he said is no exaggeration. He has been more affected by their meeting than he has said, even with this last outburst. And as much as she doesn't want to forgive him for his past sins, it's hard to be completely heartless in the face of his admission of weakness. She suspects it's more than her father ever got. This is something else she can't push, and although it frustrates her to do so, she nods in acceptance. Isn't there another way for you to help, without getting involved? She asks instead. Sakura and I are in trouble right now. And even if we find our way back to the others, Uncle Kakashi doesn't even know what's going on or what to do. I've already told you what must be done. When I release you from this place, find a way to contact your father. If he can travel dimensions, he will either be informed of what's going on or he will sense the dimensional shift. And you? I will be unconscious when you wake up. Huh! In answer, Itachi raises an arm, as if reaching for something. The red sky suddenly spins, black shapes blossoming against it and whirling closer. Sarada squeaks and ducks as several black shapes head straight for them, converging on Itachi. When she looks up again, there is a large crow sitting on his shoulder. She startles when it trains an eye on her, an eye that swirls red and black with a Mangekyo Sharingan. What? She takes a step back. This is only an image, he tells her, a representation of one with whom I have a contract. The Sharingan implanted in this crow can forcibly erase memories and implant false experiences. Konohamaru. When used to its fullest ability, it might make a person believe they are doing things of their own free will. Luckily, for my purposes, there's no need to activate it fully, and its power won't be completely diminished. I simply need to forget having stumbled upon you and the girl and get far away from the temporal phenomenon. But won't you realize something happened when you wake up? I experience blackouts occasionally. It's one of the reasons I take frequent absences from my partner, so as not to be a burden, or to be vulnerable beside one who might become an enemy at any point, Itachi tells her. Sarada bites her lip. You're sick, aren't you? It's not just a blindness, but something else. Her uncle purses his lips and waves the crow away. My real summon awaits its opportunity in the real world. As soon as you and the girl wake up, it will knock me out and erase the memory. Get as far away from me as possible, hide your tracks. Travel through the water to ensure it. Sarada sighs. Guess I shouldn't have expected a straight answer. Get to the epicenter of the phenomenon, Itachi continues. That's where whatever is causing all of this will be. Whether Tyoko is still alive and functioning, or just being used, she will be dangerous. She has to be destroyed, right? Sarada asks, not really liking the idea of having to kill someone. She doesn't have blood on her hands, and the idea that her first kill would be an Uchiha is unsettling. Again, Itachi proves that despite not being a mind reader, he can sense her thoughts. Not by you. Your father, or Kakashi if Sasuke doesn't make it in time. They're the only ones with a chance of doing it. And make sure, if you can't do anything else, to destroy the eyes. You know Katan? Of course, use it to get rid of her body. It's the only appropriate method for an Uchiha. He reactivates his Sharingan, the wheels spinning into blades that signify he is about to release her from his Tsukuyomi. Wait, Itachi pauses, and Sarada feels panicked. It hits her that this is the last time she will ever be able to speak to her deceased uncle. There are so many questions she still has, things only he would know. There's too little time to ask him any of those, and she knows it, but she must try. After all, she doesn't want her only memory of him to be unpleasant, filled with harsh truths about their family and his own deeds. If her father can find something about this man that is pleasant, something to remember him in a good light, she wants that as well. Can you tell me about Papa? She requests tentatively. Just something. Anything you remember. About when he was little, I mean. Not the way he is now, at my age. He's unpleasant, and unlikable. But he wasn't always like that, right? You knew him before he was that way. Itachi considers her a long moment, and this time he does smile. He used to be very clumsy, he tells her quietly. Always in a hurry. Always tripping over his feet. I had to carry him everywhere. I'm rather certain he faked half of those instances simply to get me to look after him. Tears blur Sarada's eyes, and she feels a lump in her throat. He's very similar to our father. He has trouble expressing his feelings, not like our mother. Not like that girl. I suppose I should call her my sister-in-law? Spirited. He chuckles. She's a good match for him. A good balance. Even if I had never. His smile fades and the sadness returns. The look he gives Sarada now is apologetic. The Sasuke of my time has to be as you described for now. It's the only way the future will happen as it needs to. He may never explain to you why. I hope he doesn't, but if he does, I can only hope you can take the time to understand. And if you feel the need to judge me harshly even then, it's no more than I deserve. The lump in her throat becomes bigger, and tears run down her cheeks now. Sniffing, Sarada considers for a moment, and then makes up her mind. Warily, she takes several steps forward until she's inches away from the man. You hurt my father, she tells him bluntly. A lot, I know, but I wish he could have been the one to see you today, she tells him. Because he would have known what to say or what to do, Itachi nods. I would have liked to know the man he will become one day. And to know you better as well. She bites her lip, trying to keep composed. Then she throws her arms around his middle and buries her face in the cloak he wears. The body in her arms goes completely rigid for several long seconds that might as well be days. And then ever so slowly, she feels thin but strong arms wrap around her from behind. This doesn't mean I've forgiven you, she tells him, although the words are muffled in thick fabric of his cloak. Nor would I expect you to, he tells her, tone gentle. As long as that's clear, she croaks. Itachi shifts then, and she loosens her grip on him. He slowly kneels down until he is eye level with her, and she startles when she feels the hand on the back of her head, pulling her forward until their foreheads rest together. This close, she can see the lines in his face, worry lines that a young man shouldn't have, the sign of someone forced to grow up too quickly. You don't have to forgive me, he tells her. No matter what you decide to do from now on, I am your uncle. I will always love you and be proud of you. Pulling back, his Mangekyo Sharingan swirls and he gives her a last tap on her forehead. Protect your father from me. Always, she promises, as the world swirls and dips. The red and black of the Tsukuyumi world leach away, returning her to the real world. Sarada can't help think if it weren't for everything, she would have gotten along very well with her uncle. It is forever and a moment before Sakura succeeds in dispelling the genjutsu. Even then, as she blinks up at the stars that slide into focus, she feels a depressing certainty that she was only able to because the illusion itself became weaker. Now that she is free, Sakura battles with confusion. She feels drained, on edge, and her head throbs as if it is too full somehow. Her heart is practically galloping, as if she's been running a race. In a way, she has been. Trapped in the lie of an overwhelming forest, she recalls desperately trying to catch up with her teammates. Sasuke and Naruto were far ahead of her, as usual. He could only see their backs as they got farther and farther away. No matter how much she ran, she could never join them. It's her own deepest fear, and barely surmountable on a really bad day. But today hasn't exactly been normal. My mother is a talented warrior. She did that all on her own, so if you want to get stronger, do it for yourself. Sakura is fairly certain if she hadn't met Sarada, if she hadn't heard the words her future child said about her, she may not have been able to keep her awareness that it was genjutsu. Not that knowing made it easier to escape. Itachi Uchiha is a genjutsu genius, after all, and creating a multi-layered illusion is not impossible with such simple subject matter. But remembering Sarada's words, it made it all that more important to escape to ensure the other girl is alright. She doesn't know what she expects to see upon pulling herself into a sitting position, but it's not this. Sarada and Itachi face each other across several feet, both of their Sharingan activated. Neither moves a muscle, and it's as if they are trapped in a battle of wills. Before Sakura can stand, all she needs to do to get Sarada out of whatever illusion she is trapped in is to make her feel pain. Both Uchiha startle. They blink, rapidly, as if waking up, and as awareness returns to him, Itachi's eyes flit toward Sakura. She imagines an imperceptible nod, which makes no sense, and then his attention is drawn to something beyond her. His entire body suddenly goes rigid, and then against all logic, those terrible eyes of his roll back and he collapses heavily to the ground. What's going on? Sakura gasps, eyes practically bulging from her skull at the sight of an S-ranked criminal lying supine within spitting distance. What just happened? Sarada's shaky gasp is the only answer she receives, and Sakura looks over to see tears are trickling down the other girl's cheeks. The mystery of Itachi Uchiha's inexplicable unconsciousness takes a back burner. Are you okay? She demands, staggering to her feet. What did he do to you? Did he put you in that world of his? Like he did with Sasuke? Sarada shakes her head, slowly, almost as if she doesn't quite hear Sakura, and takes a tentative step forward. Her hand reaches out, as if to confirm that he is asleep. He's my father's brother, she murmurs quietly. He's my... The torn, confused expression on Sarada's face makes Sakura's stomach flip, an uncomfortable sensation settling there. It's almost as if she's intruding on something deeply personal, which makes no sense considering he's a known murderer. Sakura blinks at this, abruptly coming back to herself. Right. Murderer. Who is now unconscious. Rather than let Sarada possibly wake up said murderer, Sakura scrambles into action. We have to go, she orders, snatching their drying clothes with one hand and grabbing Sarada's good arm with the other. They need to get far, far away. The river, she hears Sarada murmur, dazed, as if she's repeating what someone else said. We have to go through the river, our tracks. Sakura doesn't question this, heading for the water. She can't help throwing a cautious look over her shoulder, though, to ensure Itachi Uchiha is not about to come after them. He remains, motionless, on the ground, as a black bird circles over him. As she turns away, she wonders if she imagined the creature's burning red eye. Holding their damp clothes above their heads, the girls wade through the shallows of the river, following it back to its origin. They can't follow it underground where they came from, but climbing the hills in the general direction is good enough until they reach the tree line again. Once there, the girls leap into the trees and disappear into the foliage. Hopefully no one will think to follow us now. Sakura glances at the other girl every few seconds, wanting to ensure she's alright. Mentally she seems a bit confused, but physically she's keeping up. In fact, she seems more energetic than before. Sakura barely has to keep a hold of her or steer her through the trees. For about half an hour they flit through the forest. Every so often Sakura leads a false trail, terrified that she's going to look up at any moment and see those red eyes again. Eventually, though, they are forced to stop. Cold and out of breath, they find a patch of overgrown bushes and Sakura pulls them down to crouch beneath them. They're as safe as can be, considering somewhere in the vicinity an unconscious S-class criminal may or may not decide to come after them. "Are you okay?" Sakura asks, once her heavy breathing doesn't interrupt her words. Sarada nods. "Good." Sakura swallows and then fixes the other girl with a fierce look. "Whatever you do, don't tell Sasuke." Sarada's eyes widen. "Why?" she asks, sounding surprised and a little wary. Sakura can understand this. The last thing she wants to do is lie to Sasuke, and keeping things from him is a lie of omission. He'd want to know, wouldn't he? It doesn't matter. He can't. He's going to forget all this anyway. Assuming we all survive, of course. "You can't tell him," Sakura insists firmly. "He'll drop everything and try to find his brother, and if he does, I can't lose him." She swallows painfully, fighting back the urge to cry. The heavy pressure in her head won't go away. Sarada sighs in defeat. "That's what he said too?" "Who?" "Itachi." Sakura tenses. "He spoke to you?" "Yes." "In my head. Don't trust a word he says." "I don't know what you know about him. More than I did, still not a lot, but he can't be trusted. He says and does things to hurt people, even if they are family." "I'm surprised he didn't kill you." "It's a little more complicated than that," Sarada says, wincing. When Sakura crosses her arms in front of her, expectant, the other girl sighs. "He pulled me into his genjutsu world, but it wasn't to hurt me. He was curious. And he wanted to talk." She lowers her voice, looking around nervously, and barely above a whisper she says to Sakura, "He said there are people watching. It had to look like he was just checking us for information before moving on. But he was unconscious," Sakura points out. "He did that to himself." Sakura shakes her head, not buying it. Sarada opens her mouth to protest, but Sakura silences her by holding up a hand and orders stop. "Explain all this from the beginning." What follows is a concise, albeit very confusing, account of Sarada's conversation with her infamous uncle. It's obviously not everything. Sakura suspects it's because Sarada herself doesn't understand everything that just transpired, but from the vague details, Sakura can't help feeling some of her distrust and apprehension ebb away. "And he kept telling me to get my father to explain it to me," Sarada finishes. "But other than that, it was him that figured it out. The next step. And if we don't do something about it, things are going to get really bad." "Alright, say this is completely true and he didn't lie to you," Sakura says slowly. "What are we supposed to do about it?" "Obviously, we have to find our way to the epicenter of the time phenomenon and stop it." "I got that part." "How?" "It will be in the direct center of everything. We just have to figure out where that is, which shouldn't be too hard with the stars and a map." "What map?" "We don't have one." "No, but we had our GPS devices." "Your what devices?" "Oh. Right. Future technology." "Okay, it's basically like a map on a computer. I memorized it when I saw it." "Perks of a Sharingan," Sarada says, reaching for a broken twig and clearing a spot in the dirt. "If I recreate it here and we use the stars to position ourselves, we can probably figure out where the origin is. We head there and stop whatever's causing the temporal distortion." "What about finding the others first?" "We can't do this alone." "I know, but we don't have time to try to find them now. Especially if they're still underground somewhere. And we definitely don't have time to retrace our steps. If we're lucky, we'll meet up with them anyway. In the worst-case scenario, we find them after we stop this thing." "No, the worst-case scenario is we all die." Sarada makes a face. "You're usually more optimistic." "I usually have super strength, according to you," Sakura replies. "I'm not her. I'm not your mother yet. I don't have superpowers or anything like that. I've never done anything like this without Kakashi-sensei there, or at least Naruto and Sasuke. I'm just a genin." "So am I." "But you're a genius." And even then, you're also pretty weak right now. I can walk, which is a start, Sarada contends stubbornly. And I'm going to do this, with or without your help. If you really want to go find the others, fine, but I have to stop what's going on. You're crazy if you think I'm letting you go anywhere on your own. Sakura snaps. Aside from the fact I'd be a horrible mother if I let you do that, Sasuke would kill me, Sarada smirks. So we're agreed then? If that's what he looks like when he gets his way, it's a good thing he never smiles, Sakura decides inwardly, although outwardly the grumbled her assent. There's not much else to do right now but trust Sarada's judgment, and try not to remember she's only met the girl today. And that Sarada only met Itachi for several minutes, but apparently it was enough time to have an entire mind conversation with her. Sakura swallows heavily. We're all going to die. Chapter 17. So you're saying you? I mean I am your. Me and him are. Naruto can't quite find a way to complete that thought. Boruto cuts him off. Geez. It's not that complicated, you know. What are you talking about? It's totally complicated. He glances plaintively at Sasuke as if it's his responsibility to clear all this up. Sasuke offers a weak shrug. Just because he also found out today that, in the future, he'll be a father doesn't make him an immediate expert on how to deal with it. Witnessing Naruto go through the same experience, though, has an unexpectedly cathartic effect. By watching his teammates' family drama unfold, he doesn't have to dwell too closely on the unanswered questions of his own. Naruto goes back to staring down his future child, like he can't even fathom the inarguable conclusion he's come to. Boruto, on the other hand, watches him with something akin to defiance. It's as if he's trying hard not to be fazed by his father's obvious disbelief and incredulity, but in secret is chafing at the lack of recognition. Despite the very odd circumstances they've found themselves in, he still craves approval. It's an expression Sasuke can recognize with ease. He knows it intimately as he's worn that same look, albeit not for many years now. No matter how mediocre, sons will always care what their fathers think. Sasuke's heart twinges as he wonders what his father would have to say about him now, had he lived. Boruto provides a distraction from that train of thought. He's not freaking out about it, Boruto complains, pointing at Sasuke. He beams at him, tilting his head from side to side as if appraising him from every angle. You still look wicked cool. The eyes take getting used to, though. Hey, Uncle Sasuke. You think I could beat you right now? I mean, we're the same age and all. What the hell are you talking about? Sasuke growls. He's not sure if he's more put off by the baffling moniker, or the insinuation that anyone with Naruto's blood might come close to his skill level. What? You couldn't tell? I figured you just kind of know, with your intuition and all. Boruto looks puzzled, before shrugging and offering a toothy smile. I'm your #1 student. You've been training me. And I'm gonna follow the same shinobi path as you. Sasuke blinks. What now? Why the hell do you want to be like him for if you're my kid? Naruto explodes. Wanting to be Hokage isn't a good enough ninja path to follow? You want to be an antisocial jerk with weird hair? His hair gets less weird. And I don't give a crap about being Hokage. Boruto shoots back. That's Sarada's dream, not mine. Again, Sasuke is nonplussed. As far as he knows, there has never been an Uchiha who became Hokage. Though, based on the talents he's seen her display, she's well on her way to achieving that lofty goal. If she's alive, that is. Naruto barely even registers this news, still too stuck on the fact that this random stranger wants to be like Sasuke of all people. I drop you on the head when you're a baby, don't I? Naruto suggests. Boruto goes red and snaps. You said it was only the one time and Mom said I was fine. Obviously not, or you wouldn't want to be like him. Believe it. And you never answered before. Who is your mom? You really can't tell? Sasuke snorts. Just by looking at the kid's face shape, he'd figured it out. That, and there's only one girl in the entire village with enough patience to marry the moron, let alone bear his children. Naruto leans over and squints, making a big show of trying to pick out the details in Boruto's face. Well, you definitely look like me, but your eyes are different. And I'd never be caught dead wearing pink. Except for that one time when the laundry came out all weird. Yeah, right. Because orange is so much better. It's memorable. You look lamer than I do, Sasuke snorts. Naruto grows angrier. And what kind of stupid name is Boruto, anyway? Bolt of what? It's an improvement on being named after fish cake. Both of your names are ridiculous. Boruto and Naruto round on Sasuke. No one asked you, he shrugs, not really bothered by the twin glares directed at him. In the midst of his own emotional turmoil, he can't help clinging to the minor note of satisfaction Naruto's circumstances bring. Apparently, he's not the only one with a turbulent relationship with his future child. From Boruto's attitude, it sounds like he's not completely impressed with his father in the future. At least Sarada actually seemed to respect Sasuke's future self. Seems, he corrects himself. Sasuke has to keep thinking the girl is alive. If he gives in and accepts that she's dead, it means at least one of his life's goals is destined for failure. Until today, he didn't realize how much he valued that other goal. As usual, Naruto is unable to keep up his ire very long, his curiosity about Boruto overtaking his usual preoccupation with Sasuke's caustic comments. His eyes are once more drawn to the other boy, still struggling to process this new information. He's never pictured having a family before, mostly because he does not understand what that means. His dreams all begin and end with being Hokage and earning the love and respect of the people. Sometimes, when he's feeling particularly optimistic, Naruto imagines leading Sakura around with her utterly besotted with him. Obviously, that's not going to happen now. Under normal circumstances, he'd be more upset about that, but the idea that Sakura will achieve what she wants most in the future tempers him. He really cares about her, and if she's happy, she better be happy, he decides, making a mental note to threaten Sasuke's life to keep her happy the next time they get a private moment. Not when he's being stared down by his son. Seriously, I just found out who my father was, and now, apparently, I'm going to have a son, but he's never pictured children before. Why would he when Sakura, as he mentioned to her earlier, is the only girl who voluntarily spends time with him? No one else would do that without loads of protest. Well, except his friend's words from earlier come back to him. It's not possible she's right, is it? Would Hinata really? Seriously, kid? Who's your mom? Naruto demands. Boruto crosses his arms. I'm not telling you. What? Why not? Because you called Aunt Sakura your girl, and I'm not convinced you deserve to know. Looks like you're clueless, even at this age. It looks like the Hyuga drastically lowered their standards, Sasuke remarks knowingly, not so much taking pity on his teammate as growing bored with the argument. Once again, he earns two identical icy blue glares. Hey, Naruto processes what he just said. Wait. So you also figure it's high? That's enough. The three boys glance up at Kakashi, whose eyes are hard and jaw is set. Despite his injured state, he has drawn himself up to full height and adopted an imposing presence. It's the one all three of them recognize as him stepping out of his laid-back, easygoing persona and into the elite shinobi commander. Now is not the time for this, he reprimands them. He should have interrupted the interchange long before, but the appearance of this boy rattled him. The existence of Boruto is, in a way, more jarring than Sarada. A part of Kakashi has always suspected that, one day in the future, Sasuke would get over himself and Sakura would smarten up. He's a sucker for a good love story, and his students always radiate that potential. It's simply a matter of time. With Naruto, though, he's only ever foreseen a life of struggle and difficulty for the boy. Even if he has an irrepressible spirit and can win over almost any heart, the fact that he's the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki limits his future opportunities. Not every ninja in the village would be willing to turn a blind eye to his strange abilities and the secrets of his past. But if Boruto exists, it means, in the future, something must happen to change that. For the prestigious Hyuga clan to accept the infamous Naruto Uzumaki as a match for their heiress, the kid is either going to single-handedly save every person in the village, or actually become the Hokage. The circumstances leading to either of those outcomes are beyond the realm of understanding. Even a minor alteration to those events could spell disaster, not only for Kakashi's students' futures, but the entire village. Sarada and Sakura are missing, Kakashi continues, bluntly reminding everyone of their priorities. And right now, we're not in any condition to find them. Worse than that, our only lead, for either getting them back, or figuring out what started this time travel phenomenon in the first place, is out of range. What lead is that? Boruto asks. The creepy ghost guy who can teleport, Naruto answers. Kakashi trapped him in some kind of other dimension. Really? Cool. How'd you do that? I figured only Uncle Sasuke could open other dimensions. Oh wait. You have a Sharingan now, don't you? Sasuke can't help the way his eyebrows shoot upward. Wait. What? Boruto, you're even worse at keeping a secret than Sarada is, Kakashi tells him flatly. She, at least, managed a few hours. Hey, who cares about that? If you've got him trapped somewhere, we can question him. I need to find out what he did with Mitsuki, Boruto replies, punching his right fist into his left palm. Bring him out. I've got a few things to say to him. Kakashi ignores the youthful exuberance. What happened after you were separated from Sarada? Not a lot, Boruto grimaces. I didn't get very far after we split up. After you left her, Sasuke corrects. It wasn't by choice, I swear. She said she could handle it, and if this guy wasn't as strong as he is, she would have. I trust that, Boruto insists. And I don't know if you noticed, but she's kind of hard to argue with. Sasuke has to give him that one. So, I was making a run for it, and then the world goes black. The bastard must have snuck up on me and knocked me out from behind, the coward. When I woke up, we were tied to these gurney things. Big bro Konohamaru was still out of it, and Mitsuki was gone. This guy makes no sense, Naruto remarks. He attacks, tries to kill anyone he sees, then fixes them? Obviously, he's nuts, Boruto grumbles. He kept talking to himself. Or arguing with himself. Anyway, the last thing I remember before getting knocked out, he said something about us being the wrong ones and the last piece. How did you escape? Faye, piece of cake. All I had to do was untie us and wake up Konohamaru. Naonuk is an academy-level skill, Boruto puffs. I'm kind of insulted he thought I didn't know it. Yeah, totally, Naruto agrees. That's such a rookie mistake. I mean, who doesn't know how to get free from ropes? You, Sasuke points out. What happened next? Kakashi interjects. It took a while to wake up Big Bro. After that, we went looking for Mitsuki. We were just talking about splitting up. I wanted to find Sarada, and then we heard what was going on down this way. Sensei told me to go on ahead, and now I'm here. So, are you going to bring that ghost out again, or are we gonna stand around yakking about it all day? Easier said than done. It's difficult to reopen that world when I'm in peak physical condition, let alone right now. Until my chakra reserves are restored, I can't. I might be able to help you with that, a voice from behind them says. Everyone turns in surprise to see a tall, disheveled-looking figure in a bloodied scarf inching toward them. Beneath bruises and dirt, there's a smug expression that everyone in the cavern has seen at least once before. Naruto lets out a wordless exclamation of disbelief, while Boruto cries out, Big bro Konohamaru. You were supposed to wait, and darts over to help his teacher. You're supposed to call me sensei in public, the man grumbles. They're not public, they're family, Boruto shoots back. Kakashi gives the other man a brief once-over. Nothing appears to be broken or gravely injured, which is at odds with Sarada's account. Yet the placement of the blood on his shirt suggests, at one point, there might have been. Furthermore, Konohamaru's movements are slow and careful, as if he doesn't trust his feet not to skid out from underneath him. As Boruto helps him over to their little group, Konohamaru finally looks Kakashi full in the eye. This day keeps getting weirder and weirder, doesn't it, Kakashi-sensei? Apparently, Kakashi says dryly. Sarada mentioned you. I thought you were your father when she first spoke of Sarutobi-sensei. Dad's been out of the shinobi business for years, Konohamaru says before his expression becomes solemn. I caught some of what happened. This place echoes. Sarada and Sakura? Unknown. We're operating under the assumption they're alive, for now, Kakashi reveals. And your team? Sarada and Boruto mentioned another boy, Mitsuki. He's missing. Also presumed alive. Our mutual enemy seems to want him for something, but we still don't know what. Stop that, Naruto pokes at Konohamaru, who rounds on him like he intends to tell him off, and freezes at the sight of him. Geez, you got old, Naruto tells him. Konohamaru slowly shakes his head. And I forgot how short you used to be, boss. It is you. Naruto guffaws. So, you're a jonin now? I bet it was due to my awesome training, right? Ha! You bet it was. Konohamaru sniggers, rubbing at his nose confidently. Hey, I've got something important to show you. Before anyone can react, he forms a quick hand seal and, poof! Suddenly, the cavern is filled with a group of women in various states of undress. A few of them pose wantonly while others beckon to Naruto shyly. Oh, Naruto, what do you think of my newest sexy jutsu? The woman nearest him coos. She looks an awful lot like Tenten, albeit a lot bustier. You have got to be kidding me, Sasuke mutters, right eye twitching, while Kakashi chokes beside him. Konohamaru can't sustain the jutsu long, however, likely due to his injury. His transformation fails at the exact moment when Sasuke notices one girl in the back has pink hair. Naruto roars with delighted laughter. Ha! That's awesome. That was completely inappropriate, Kakashi points out, voice carefully neutral. Yeah. Boruto yells. You totally stole that from me, Sasuke sighs in frustration. He would love it if someone explained how they got into this situation. The two jonin here are the most reckless, irresponsible, and perverted people he's ever met. His teammate and his teammate's future son have the combined sense of a goldfish, yet, Apparently, Sasuke is going to one day accept the ladder for training. He has a future daughter, and a future wife, who will be terrifyingly strong. And the most anyone said about his future is to comment on his hair and his eyes. All Sasuke needs to find out now is that Naruto becomes Hokage, and he will officially never be surprised at anything ever again. Please tell me it wasn't me who made you a jonin, Kakashi requests, rubbing the bridge of his nose. Konohamaru opens his mouth to reply, but Sasuke cuts him off. Never mind that. Sarada said you were wounded, yet you appear fine now. I was, Konohamaru admits. Badly, and if it wasn't for... He trails off, looking sheepishly at Naruto. You're not going to get mad at me, right? Huh? Why would I do that? You told me, well tell me, not to use this anymore, but I figured it was a ninja tool. We do need to use what we can in life or death situations. I only had it with me on the off chance. Obviously, it's completely different from certain people cheating on their exams. Hey! Shut up! Boruto cries, cheeks turning pink. Don't be disrespectful to your teacher. Don't rat me out to some weirdo in orange. You cheated on your exams? Naruto demands. What's wrong with you? Unless... Was cheating actually part of it? Because that kind of stumped me. Anyway, Konohamaru cuts off the two Uzumaki boys. It really helped us in this situation, so... Just answer already, you idiot, Sasuke bites out. Konohamaru gives him a nervous glance, like he's possibly still intimidated by the Uchiha boy, even if he's only 12. Then he draws out a small metallic device from beneath his sleeve. It resembles a bracer with what appear to be gears on it, and a screen with digital numbers. This is the Kote, a ninja weapon developed by scientists in Konoha. It's able to store jutsu. It's usually only offensive jutsu, but over the past few weeks, Saka, the head medical ninja, has been experimenting with storing deployable antidotes. He digs into his pocket for several colored cartridges. It's simply a matter of choosing the right dose. Sarada told us Sakura is a healer in the future, Kakashi tells him. It doesn't surprise me that this would be her doing. He gestures for the Kote, which Konohamaru gives him to examine. And our ghost friend didn't notice this? I suspect he didn't recognize what it was, Konohamaru says. Which was really lucky, perhaps, Kakashi muses. Is this technology common in your time? You mean is it a secret? No. Not since our Chunin exam finals. Konohamaru gives Boruto a reproachful sideways look which the boy sticks his tongue out at. But it's also not used in any widespread capacity. Only emergency situations, as I said earlier. Kakashi ruminates on that for a spell, an incomplete theory buzzing at the back of his mind. He'll need more proof before he's comfortable sharing it, however. And until he's strong enough to bring back the teleporter, that will have to wait. How is the chakra sustained in your device? Without a constant connection to the source, the jutsu should become useless. I don't understand the science stuff. There's a time limit, obviously, Konohamaru allows. So far, the way it's done is to use a jutsu about 3 times as strong as the actual effect you want to achieve. In this case, Sakura offered up some of her strongest general healing, and that worked, temporarily. Konohamaru's smile is more of a grimace. Whatever poison our ghost friend is using, it's strong. It's still in my system, and Mitsuki's, if he's still alive. We need to have a poisons expert analyze it to be completely cured. That's not good news. How long do you think you have? Kakashi asked quietly. A day, maybe more, if we're lucky. Then, even these antidotes won't do anything. It's why I sent Boruto on ahead when we heard voices. He's the only one on the team who wasn't injured. Unless Sarada, shattered arm, Kakashi shakes his head. Possibly worse, if she survived. Hope enters his voice. Do you have anything in there that can help her? Broken bones, easy, Konohamaru nods. Lacerations and chakra replenishing, too. And you look like you could benefit from it as well. I'd appreciate it. Kakashi nods. Right. Then if we find Sarada, when Sasuke interrupts, right. When we find Sarada, we can help her. Until that time, we have to make sure Konoha is informed of what's going on. We were actually trying to find you, Konohamaru, for that reason. We need help. The only way of communicating with the world outside of the time bubble right now is by summons, Kakashi explains. Lady Tsunade and Konoha's forces are on standby in our time, but I don't imagine your Hokage is up to date yet. No, Konohamaru replies grimly. We didn't realize how serious the situation was. When we were investigating, we figured there was something going on with different dimensions. We were on our way back to report in when we were attacked. It didn't even occur to me that time travel would be involved, not until I saw all of you. Well, as you can see. Kakashi trails off, nodding at Naruto and Boruto. Yeah, I can't use any of my summons in this time, he goes on. So, you need to use one of yours to tell Konoha that we'll need backup. We can't wait for it though, Konohamaru says, even as he brings out a summoning scroll. For all we know, whatever is going on could make travel here difficult, which is why, as soon as you're done, we will bring our ghost friend back here and ask him a few questions, Kakashi says coolly. I'm sure, between us, we can get him to talk. He considers Konohamaru, looking for something to show the young man has at least matured enough to be trusted with this task. Resolve burns in his eyes, along with a distant sadness that Kakashi recognizes. Somewhere in the future, Konohamaru will face something that makes him more than just an entitled kid. It's that experience Kakashi hopes to draw on now. Alright. Let's do this. With the parchment on the ground, Konohamaru bites his thumb, dribbling blood on the unfurling paper. Seals radiate outwards in a circular pattern as he presses his hand against it, and with a grunt of effort he forces a burst of chakra through his palm. Gamakiro, we need some help, he calls, his voice firm and authoritative. It's a stark contrast to the Konohamaru that Team 7 are familiar with. Smoke billows from the parchment, obscuring them all for a few seconds. When it clears, however, it is not a giant toad from Mount Mayaboku that has appeared. A tiny toadlet, about the size of a cat, stares up at them all in bemusement. Well, Boruto remarks, that's not going to be very helpful. Rude, the baby toad sniffs, then turns to the boy sensei. Hey, Mr. Konohamaru! You're not looking so good, Konohamaru groans. I'll be fine, Gamasuko. But it looks like I'm not up to my usual strength just yet. The poison must be weakening my blood more than I thought, if it's affecting the summoning. I don't think it's your blood. Getting here was a pain, the tiny amphibian says, hopping up on Konohamaru's shoulder. It's almost like it's blocked. Grandfather was trying to get here when you called, but the portal that opened was way too small for him. So, he sent me instead. He sounds smug. It's my first summoning. Congrats, hey. Konohamaru and the small creature bump fists. This isn't good news, Kakashi says wearily. If summons from this time are being affected now, it means the dimensions have become even more compromised. Soon, even people from this time won't be able to use Kuchios. He and Konohamaru exchange grim looks, knowing that such an ability can be the difference between life and death during battle. The man from the future addresses the toadlet. Suko, I need you to find Sasuke Uchiha. Okie dokie, Mr. Konohamaru, that's easy. Isn't that him right there? He points at the dark-haired boy who is watching the exchange with raised eyebrows. Not this Sasuke Uchiha, our Sasuke Uchiha. From our time. Oh, okay, yeah, I thought he looked kinda short. Naruto sniggers. He's used to being the one that gets his lack of height pointed out. Sasuke sends the toadlet a withering look that has it hiding beneath the flap of Konohamaru's scarf. Sarada mentioned her father has some experience with dimensional shifting? Kakashi questions, and Sasuke's ears perk up. This is not something he was aware of. It seems Kakashi has gotten more information from Sarada than he's been letting on. Yeah. And if things are as bad as I think they are, her dad's the only one in the world with the knowledge of dimensional portals. And who can navigate them, Konohamaru explains. If we're about to lose our ability to summon, he'll be the only person that stands a chance of getting here if the breach gets worse. Which makes it even more important that you find him, and fast, Suko. Ah man, do I have to? That guy gives me the creeps. The tiny amphibian shivers visibly. Even we heard about what he did to Manda all those years ago. He creeps me out too, but it's our only option right now, Konohamaru answers. You're both aware that I can hear you, right? Sasuke inquires through gritted teeth. Uncle Sasuke's wicked strong, Boruto puts it loyally. Then, in a more grudging voice and while eyeing Naruto doubtfully, it might help to have Dad, too. Anyone would know who your father is just by looking at you, Shrimp, the toad quips. Hey! I'm bigger than you are. You're still shorter than me, Naruto says gleefully. So, it sounds like I'm famous. Does that mean I'm a super ninja too? I can cross dimensions and stuff? No, it means future you has enough chakra to back up Sasuke if he needs an extra boost, Konohamaru tells him, and makes an impatient gesture at Tsuko. Get going already, hey, sounds like I'm going to grow up to be an overgrown battery, Naruto grumbles as the toadlet disappears. Why does Sasuke get to do everything cool? Right, that's done, next, Kakashi says. There's not a lot of time. We need everyone's wounds seen to as best we can, and then we've got to get this place set up properly. If we're bringing our ghost friend back here, we need wards and protections to keep him from teleporting away while we interrogate him. Are you sure that's a good idea? Sasuke asks, looking around the ruined cavern. There are deep cracks in the floor, and rubble left over from their bitter fight with Mimi. Unless Konohamaru and Boruto found anywhere else that would suit. No, it's just more tunnels back the other way, Boruto says. We didn't have time to explore them all before we heard you guys and decided to investigate. Then this is all we've got. We also need to heal up as best as possible in case the interrogation goes badly. Given our track record today, I'd say there's a high probability of that, so we need to be extra prepared. No offense, but this sounds like a really crappy plan, Naruto mutters. Well, it's like Shikadai says, Boruto pipes up. Really good plans either involve complex strategy, or dumb luck. Either way, they're a drag. I can guess which one you prefer, Sasuke grumbles, as Konohamaru offers up the use of the kote to heal the injured. It's mostly unnecessary. Sasuke is fine accepting a few deep scratches in his chest. The curse seal amplified his reflexes and helped him avoid injury, even as it depleted his chakra. Luckily, Konohamaru has some of the chakra replenishing patches Sarada mentioned earlier. As soon as he sticks a few of them to his skin, Sasuke feels his strength returning to him. As for healing, he insists he doesn't need it. Kakashi's the one that got clawed in the guts, he tells Konohamaru when offered a healing jutsu from the kote. He needs it more. Naruto also doesn't need much in the way of medicinal care. Whatever Sarada and Sakura did, combined with his own natural healing factor, he appears to be coping well. I'm just a bit tired, he says when Kakashi asks how he's doing, but I'm so gonna sleep for a week when we get home. Believe it, in the end, only Kakashi ends up requiring major healing. A large quantity of chakra replenishing strips and 2 concentrated blasts of stored healing energy go into fixing him up, with the hopes it will put him back in prime condition for reopening the doorway to his Kamui dimension. Meanwhile, Konohamaru gives Boruto the directive to create wards throughout the cavern, passing him a small scroll with the specific symbols needed. He always has a spare canister of spray paint on him, Konohamaru explains with a grin when Kakashi looks at him askance, and decides he really doesn't want to know. Is it really a good idea to trust him with placing the wards? Sasuke asks, staring at the blonde boy distrustfully. If he really is Naruto's kid, Boruto's smart, Konohamaru tells him with a note of defensiveness there. He and Sarada were usually neck and neck back at the academy. And he's been getting extra lesson from future you. Of course, I trust him. Boruto looks smug as he heads off to do as he was told, while Naruto and Sasuke share of an uncertain look. Neither is completely sure what to make of the fact everyone from the future speaks of them as if they are heroes. And apparently close enough that their children respectively call them uncle. Naruto is curious, mostly, but Sasuke is wary. He never wanted to be a hero, or even craved the respect and admiration of others. Not the way Naruto does anyhow. Still, it looks like in the future, for whatever reason, he is due that kind of treatment. Father. Husband. Hero. The words flash in his brain, utterly foreign and devoid of connection. Despite the taste of the future he has been offered today, he can't picture it. Kakashi is having his own difficulties adjusting to future truths. He might not spend much time with Konohamaru, but now being faced with the kid, who has clearly grown into his talents, is sobering. He feels very old suddenly. You're lucky to still be standing, Konohamaru tells him, staring at the angry welts across Kakashi's abdomen before he loads the second healing cartridge into the kote. The entry wound is from the front, but it looks like whatever caused that should have severed your spine. Pure luck that it didn't. And I have your student to thank, Kakashi grimaces as a glowing green ball of chakra blossoms from the device and into Konohamaru's hand. The other jonin slowly presses it into his abdomen. She attempted a very complex healing technique, despite her own condition. Ow, sorry. Healing jutsu doesn't mean I have a medic means touch, Konohamaru apologizes. And yeah, that definitely sounds like Sarada. She does you credit as a teacher. Konohamaru looks away, eyes gleaming suspiciously. What a compliment. And from Lord Sixth no less. I was never even praised in this way while you were still Hokage. Kakashi rolls his eyes. And there's the little buffoon I know. Apparently your students aren't the only ones bad at keeping secrets, he says dryly. It's a different world we live in, Konohamaru says. The life of a shinobi is no longer just about secrets and subterfuge. Well, not entirely. Talent still goes a long way. And Sarada, well, she doesn't let anything stop her. You know, she's the one who directly appealed to the Hokage for us to be registered as Team 7, and when I did a bell test with them before our first mission, and she actually managed to take a bell. That doesn't mean anything, Boruto interjects as he passes by them, still marking down the warding symbols on the ground. You were the idiot that was busy rambling about my sexy jutsu. If you'd have paid more attention, she wouldn't have gotten it. Besides, I beat your Sharingan with, hey! I've single-handedly taken out S-class criminals. You watch our mouth and get back to work, hey! Then stop getting so worked up about stupid crap while we're trying to save the world. We haven't got the time for you to get all teary-eyed, when Sarada and Aunt Sakura could be in trouble. Boruto shouts back, before whirling around and stomping back to finish the seals. Looks like he has no respect for his teacher either. He's definitely Naruto's son, Kakashi says mildly. Although, and I never thought I would say this, Naruto might have a little more humility to him. Konohamaru lets out an exhausted exhale. Well, they were brought up differently. Naruto was on his own and always had to work hard, but Boruto, well, he might be a little spoiled. You think? They both watched Boruto get back to drawing the seals, muttering to himself in annoyance, then glance over to Naruto. The boy is examining his orange jacket with a rueful look on his face. Ah man, I'm gonna have to sew this thing up again. Why does everyone always hate on my jacket? Sasuke makes a derisive noise, not even bothering to answer that, and Naruto sticks his tongue out at him. His friend is cleaning and wrapping the knuckles he split apart in his brief fit of rage at Sakura and Sarada's disappearance. He is more concentrated on the task than is necessary, especially considering how he usually hates any acknowledgement of injuries. Naruto privately suspects that it bothers Sasuke that he can heal faster than him, but he's never said anything about it. Mentioning it would probably lead to the truth about the Nine Tails coming out, and if there's anything Naruto wants to keep secret, it's that. He's just started earning Sasuke's respect, at a glacially slow pace. He's not ready to have that return to contempt. Besides, it would just be one more overwhelming piece of information to force on him. Naruto has his own difficulty wrapping his head around the strange truths that have been thrust upon him today. With all Sasuke's issues, it's surprising the Uchiha boy hasn't passed out from information overload. It's usually at this point that Sakura might check up on him, with Naruto lingering unobtrusively in the background pretending not to care. Without her here though, he suspects that's his job now. Damn it. Sasuke barely puts up with it from her, he'll probably punch me. Still, Naruto dutifully crouches down beside Sasuke. Need any help? He offers awkwardly. Your back's kind of shredded. Go away. I'm fine, is the short, firm response. Yeah? I can see that. But unless you're double-jointed, you're not gonna be able to reach back to wrap it properly. And you could tear it, which would make it worse. And when Sakura gets back and sees you, she'll freak out, and so will Sarada, because maybe you've been a total jerk to her, but you're still her future father and Naruto. Shut up, Sasuke tells him, jaw clenching at the mention of his future daughter, who may or may not be dead, but he grudgingly holds out the bandages. Naruto grins and takes them, but then pauses before unraveling them. Before you get any weird ideas, I'm only doing this because Sakura's not here, he insists defensively. And because she'll pummel me if she finds out I didn't keep you from killing yourself while she's away. Sasuke rolls his eyes in reply. Naruto sets to work taping up his friend's back, all the while keeping an eye out for what Boruto is up to across the cave. The boy is focused, in a way Naruto doesn't think he's ever managed, and copies the ceiling symbols the Jonin gave him with relative ease. It seems like he doesn't even need to consult the guide Konohamaru gave him. Smart, right? Doesn't get that from me. His thoughts flash to another newly discovered truth, unless it skips a generation. The fourth Hokage was a genius, right? Hey, I wonder if this kid knows anything about my dad. At that moment, the kid glances up at Naruto, a look of bafflement and calculation there. Upon meeting each other's gazes, they both quickly look away. Damn it, this is so weird. Naruto hisses, more to himself than to Sasuke. How did you not completely lose your mind when you found out about Sarada? Sasuke flinches at her name and Naruto winces. Sorry, it's fine, which probably means it's anything but, in Sasuke speak. You're really taking all this well, Naruto says carefully. I mean, I've seen the stupid shit you do when people you care about are in danger. His memory flashes to images of Sasuke, Senbon impaling his throat, and then again facing down a crazed Gaara, practically begging Naruto to get Sakura to safety. You sure you're alright? We don't have the luxury of worrying about anything beyond what's right in front of us, Sasuke tells him neutrally. And right now, the only thing we can deal with is the teleporter. Yeah, but you've still got to deal with the other stuff, or your head'll explode. I mean, I feel like that's what's going to happen to me. He lowers his voice to a whisper and points. That's my kid. I am freaking out right now. Sasuke doesn't answer, not wanting to admit that Naruto is right. If he learns any more information today, He's almost positive his brain will just shut down. He already feels as if he's lost his mind, as if the constant revelations about the future have tipped him beyond conventional sanity. It's like all of this is a particularly lucid dream, and he's just hanging on for the ride. Fine, you go ahead and be Mr. Funny Hair King of Sulking, Naruto continues with a sniff. But I'm telling you now, when we find Sakura again, you'd better take care of her. She deserves way better than you. Not that either of you is ever going to get that message. Sasuke glowers at him. And I swear, if you ever hurt her, you're a footnote in history. I'll kill you and make it look like an accident, tch. As if you could. If it were for Sakura, I would. I've held back before because I knew she liked you, and if I beat the stuffing out of you it'd hurt my chances. And yet you're throwing all that away now? Sasuke counters, a little peeved at the notion of Naruto holding back against him. Based on what Kakashi said before, the future isn't completely set. Shouldn't you be thinking up some far-fetched scheme right now to tip the odds back in your favor? That'd be kind of stupid, seeing as how we've already met our kids. Naruto rolls his eyes. And as much of a little jerk as mine is, he did save our asses. And he can do Rasengan and sexy jutsu, so it could be a lot worse. Your high standards astound me. Look, good things don't happen to me. Like, ever, Naruto says, serious for once. But so far what I've seen looks better than anything I might have imagined. Unless I also get to be Hokage, which would make things 100 times better. But I'm going to have a kid, and you're going to get your head out of your ass and accept me as your equal. No one ever said that's going to happen, and I'm even going to have a wife. I mean, Hinata's nice. Kind of weird, but nice. And you and Sakura will be happy. We're going to be Team 7 forever, and then our kids are going to inherit that, which is really cool. So, I don't want you screwing it up, asshole. Got it? I'm taking that as a yes, Naruto tells him blithely. They are silent for a spell. The only sound in the cave is the shake-click of Boruto's paint canister, and the indistinct conversation between Kakashi and Konohamaru. Then, Naruto clears his throat and says, Sakura says Hinata likes me right now. Do you think? Yes, you moron. Stop wasting my time with tedious crap and finish with my back. Hey, no need to be so insulting, no need to be an idiot, but it doesn't stop you. You know what? I'll risk the beating, finish your own damn back. Chapter 18. Ah man, I'm out. Naruto and Sasuke turn away from each other, drawn by the complaint from the boy across the room. Boruto is glowering down at the canister in his hand, shaking it uselessly as if that will eke out a little more paint. There's at least a quarter of the circular ward that hasn't been drawn yet. Naruto rolls his eyes and makes a scoffing noise, like how he sounds when Konohamaru messes up Kakuremino. Amateur, he mutters, digging into his own pockets. He unloads his slingshot and a packet of instant ramen before finding what he was looking for. Hey shrimp, heads up. Something sails across the room and is deftly caught by a surprised Boruto. Examining it, his eyes widen in surprise to realize it is a thick tube of paint. You carry paint around with you? Sasuke questions, incredulous. Never leave home without it, he replies, and then says, you never know if an opportunity will present itself. There's a weird double timbre, and he realizes that the other blonde boy said the exact same thing as him. The two Uzumakis exchange glances, and identical, mischievous grins appear on both their faces. Sasuke pinches the bridge of his nose. You carry around paint, but you couldn't grab a few more bandages before leaving on this mission? Well, you know. Priorities. What is wrong with you? Okay, you're good to go, Konohamaru announces, cutting off the inevitable argument. Kakashi gets to his feet, examining the new, pink skin across his abdomen. It's tender and itchy, but at least the wounds are closed. Do you need a few minutes to prep or… No. It won't make a difference. We should do this now. Kakashi motions for Naruto, Sasuke and Boruto. Everyone get back. I don't want you anywhere near my line of vision in order to avoid accidents. Don't need to tell me twice, Naruto chirps. With everyone standing close behind him, Kakashi takes a deep breath and focuses. With his Sharingan open and directing all of his chakra on a single point in the distance, he wills the layers of reality to ebb away from one another. He feels the air in front of him shift, and sees the air ripple like a heat mirage, a prelude to the doorway he means to open. However, after several laborious seconds of concentration, nothing happens. It's not enough, he says, and the tension leaves his muscles. Damn it, I have an idea, Konohamaru says after a pause moment. I mean, it might not be a really good one, but if it helps, hey. What is it? Kakashi asks weary. Naruto and Sasuke. Huh. Both boys adopt expressions of confusion, while Kakashi is skeptical. However, Boruto brightens. Yeah. When Dad and Uncle Sasuke work together, they can do anything. I've seen it. Again, Naruto and Sasuke exchange expressions as if to ask he's talking about us. Those expressions turn to even more comical surprise when Kakashi nods in agreement. I know they work well together, he says, but that doesn't mean they can affect my ability to open Kamui. He considers again, then says, Sasuke, maybe? There's a distinct undertone in my chakra because of the Sharingan. It could perhaps sync with his for an added boost. But even with the chakra replenishing patches he's used, he still isn't fully recovered. I don't think it would be enough. I'd make it enough, Sasuke asserts, a little annoyed that his teacher is being so flippant about his perceived weakness. Not without calling on the curse seal again. And you've done that enough for one day, Kakashi declares. We can't take any more unnecessary risks, and that's a big one. Curse seal? Boruto asks, while Konohamaru whistles. Wow, I haven't heard about that in a while. You guys are far back. I mean, I knew you were when I saw. His eyes linger on Sasuke, and then he coughs awkwardly. Anyway, back on topic. What I was going to say before is, Naruto would have to back up Sasuke by lending him chakra. That would be superfluous with the curse seal, Sasuke insists. Hey! What's that supposed to mean? Naruto demands, while Kakashi shakes his head and insists, no, it's worth using if it gets the teleporter out, and us one step closer to stopping what's going on. He carefully doesn't mention the missing girls, not wanting to appear as desperate as Naruto and Boruto. I said no, Sasuke. That's final. Sasuke glares but doesn't push it again. It's better all around if Naruto helps, because he's, well, Konohamaru starts and then lamely finishes, because he's Naruto. Right, because that explains everything, Sasuke sneers. Naruto, on the other hand, notices the way that the two Jonin are looking at him right now, Konohamaru knowing and Kakashi with dawning comprehension, and realizes what they are referring to. Because he has the power of the Nine Tails behind him, he has more of a chance of supplying a virtually unending fount of chakra. If the asshole fox helps, keep making comments like that and I won't, the demon snarls at him. Naruto doesn't reply, however, his thoughts more concerned with the fact that Konohamaru will know about him in the future. The demon within him is something he hasn't even told his teammates, who are the people he cares about most in the world, but he's going to tell Konohamaru. Maybe it's just something that everyone gets to know when they hit a certain age, Naruto theorizes with a little bitterness. Like everyone else in the world is entitled to knowing about his life, and what was done to him. Except, he notices that Boruto is utterly unsurprised. So maybe in the future everyone knows about me and is, actually alright with it. The idea is a little jarring, even as it fills him with a light, giddy kind of warmth. There's nothing Naruto has dreamed of more in his life than people looking at him and seeing him, not the demon bonded to his soul. And from Konohamaru's behavior, it seems knowing the truth didn't change how he sees Naruto. And Boruto might be an annoying brat, but the contempt he has for Naruto doesn't seem to have anything to do with the Nine Tails. Meanwhile, Sasuke just looks confused. Because he doesn't know any of this, Naruto reminds himself, and grins. It's always fun to know something that Sasuke doesn't. Okay, yeah, I can do it. No sweat, he brags, striking what he thinks is a cool guy pose, chin jutted out and examining his nails. He peeks at Sasuke from the corner of his eye to see how his teammate takes this. Sasuke refuses to look at him. We still have a problem, he tells them instead. Kakashi said Naruto couldn't help before when he wanted to help Sakura summon Bull. I figured it was because his control is so poor. Hey, but clearly that's not the case if you want him to do it now. So, what's changed? You mean other than the fact you're jealous I'm about to save the day again? Don't be stupid. It was partially to do with poor chakra control, Kakashi admits, and Naruto's shoulders slump, but that's something I'm trained to handle. Sakura isn't. Also, based on the amount of chakra he can produce, Naruto might have summoned a giant dog that either crushed us all or blew up Sakura. Which would be bad, Boruto chips in helpfully. Sasuke frowns at Naruto, trying to figure out at what point it became a universally accepted truth that his dead last teammate is stronger than him. It annoys him, confirming doubts he's been keeping secret for weeks now. Well, it's worth a try, Kakashi says while Sasuke clenches his fists. If we create a chakra circuit, it might work. A what? Like chakra sharing, only on a grander scale. It's a Jonin-level technique that allows the users to distribute their different chakra abilities into a uniform bridge of power. That way, no one blows up, right? Boruto asks. Exactly. Ah man, I was right, Naruto complains. I'm just a giant battery to you people. Are you saying you're afraid? Sasuke challenges. Ha! Naruto snorts. I laugh in the face of danger. In this case I think danger's laughing harder, Boruto snorts. It should create the exact chakra, and in the exact amount we need, to bring the teleporter out, Kakashi concludes. And Boruto and I will be ready to know him out if he tries anything, Konohamaru adds. Which definitely won't be a problem since I've done such an awesome job with the wards, Boruto brags. Thanks to me, Naruto interjects. Looks like there's still a few things your old man can teach you, Boruto makes a face. Don't say stuff like that. It's bad enough when you're old, but right now it sounds way lame. Hey, you're way lame. Let's just do this already, so they'll shut up, Sasuke says, trudging over. Tell me what to do. It still might not work, Kakashi warns him, as Naruto hurries over as well, not wanting to be outdone by Sasuke. And even if it does, remember, this guy's tricky, so we won't leave him any openings, Konohamaru declares. Kakashi gives a quick explanation of the process. It's rather similar to how he talked Sakura and Sasuke through it earlier, however in this case the boys don't need to sync their chakra together. Instead, they stand on either side of Kakashi, hands on his shoulder, waiting for the order to send as much chakra his way as possible. With his students on either side of him, Kakashi once again focuses all his attention on the air over the center of the ward circle. A shiver of fear and anticipation moves through his body as both the boys begin to focus on channeling their chakra through him. Though Kakashi is able to direct the combined power through all three of them, the boys' chakra signatures have suddenly flared up, as intense as the glares he knows they are shooting at one another. Their constant rivalry, which today's adventure has conveniently shoved out of precedence, resurges now from where it always simmers beneath the surface. Concentrate, Kakashi orders, blood dripping down from his eye to saturate his mask. There is no time for them to fight out their grievances with one another today, and he has even less inclination or ability to play referee. All of our chakra needs to be moving as one. The intensity of their chakra signatures levels out, and he exhales in relief. I really hope they don't accidentally blow me up after all. At first, it seems as if there is a hole in the air before them. Beyond that, nothing happens. There is a small chance the ghost might not be nearby or might choose not to come out. If that's the case, they must close the portal and try again. Or Kakashi will have to travel through himself and somehow bring the teleporter back. He's never had to bring back anything, however, and he doesn't know if even the combined chakra of himself, Naruto and Sasuke will do much. Both boys are now panting, sweat dripping down their faces, jaws clenched in effort. He knows either one will give in until one, or both, of them pass out. Thankfully, it doesn't come to that. The world ripples around them once more, and then suddenly the familiar pale, marked figure leaps into existence from the other dimension. Kakashi's eye snaps shut and the portal closes. He stumbles back, hand falling from where it kept Naruto and Sasuke's chakra in sync. The boys collapse towards each other as well, out of breath, but holding each other up at first. Seconds later they notice and hastily pull away. The teleporter, meanwhile, uses this brief lapse to glance around and then he disappears, only to reappear a second later at the edge of the ward. They held. Kakashi is not the only one relieved. Realizing he is still trapped, the teleporter tries to execute several attempts at escape, disappearing and reappearing in rapid succession within the warded perimeter. When this proves fruitless, he pauses, fathomless eyes taking in the ward surrounding him, and then he tries to cross it on foot. Sorry, Boruto says, as three clones of him surround the circular ward on all sides. You won't be getting away from me this time, incipient child. The man snaps and settles into the beginnings of a lunge, only to freeze when there is a sudden whirring of gears and muffled pop. A long, dark shadow stretches across the cave floor, attaching itself to the teleporter and to Konohamaru, who brandishes his kota with a grin. Well, you can't say he didn't tell you, he points out jovially. Everyone, spread out and make sure we've got eyes on him from every angle, Kakashi orders. The teleporter works his jaw furiously, and then abruptly calms. He watches everyone surround him with a vague expression, head tilted to one side like a bird. Naruto tries not to shudder at the feel of those dead eyes focusing on him, and hoping that his father never had eyes like this. He is relieved when the penetrating gaze leaves him, but it's short-lived once Naruto sees that unwavering attention fall on Boruto. You two look alike, he comments dimly. Curious, he draws out the last word, with the terrifying interest of someone used to dissecting objects or people he finds curious. Never mind that, Kakashi orders. We have questions for you. Starting with who you are. Everyone expects addled mumbling or evasiveness, but the man in front of them appears to have adopted his more lucid personality. I am Jiken, he says gravely. How do you do? All right, maybe not totally lucid. Why have you been attacking us? Kakashi asks. And what did you do with Mitsuki? Boruto yells. The man, Jiken, blinks. What is a Mitsuki? That's my teammate, you creep. The pale kid that was with us, and who you thought was the snake Sannin. Naruto and Sasuke perk up at this, because that's not exactly an identity mistake many people would make. Oh yes, him, Jiken muses out loud, as if he really did forget. Where did you take him? To see the goddess, of course. Konohamaru freezes, and even Boruto seems taken aback by this. Kakashi, Naruto, and Sasuke have no idea what he means, but based on their comrade's palpable worry, it's nothing good. What goddess? Konohamaru asks, voice barely above a whisper. Jiken's mouth slowly pulls into a chilling, mad smile and continues to consider the warding circle around him. He is ostensibly evaluating the strength of the symbols and the potential threat of Boruto's shadow clones, as if he hasn't just delivered some kind of bombshell. Still gathered behind Kakashi, everyone radiates some degree of tension. The words are mystifying, bordering on troubling to Kakashi. Tales of gods and shinobi lore rarely end well, but his students are merely confused. Konohamaru and Boruto, on the other hand, seem downright anxious. There's no way, Konohamaru murmurs, voice a whisper but cracking in disbelief. There's just no possible way. Kakashi glances to the side, just in time to see Boruto nodding, quickly, like he's trying to convince himself of the very same sentiment. What are you talking about? Kakashi asks, under his breath, but Konohamaru simply shakes his head. Either he is too overcome with disbelief, or knows it's not the time for the explanation. Your device is ingenious, Jiken remarks mildly, eyes flitting back to the kore on Konohamaru's wrist. It's the only movement he's currently capable of. The future is truly a marvelous place. Perfect and happy. You all think nothing can touch you. His eyes harden and a palpable rage radiates off of him. They're all unaware of the crimes forgotten and buried. Things that must be said. His tone shifts to calm again. Your false cage mane will not last long. All I need to do is wait for that chakra to run out. Then, the only thing you have to ensnare me with are a child's shadow clones. That's not the only thing, Sasuke ventures, Sharingan active and spinning, daring the enemy to make a wrong mood. Perhaps, Jiken allows, almost uncaring. You ought to save your chakra. There are other ways to keep you here if necessary, Kakashi assures him, and Naruto shivers a little. Despite his worry for them, he is suddenly very glad that the girls aren't here to see this. He often forgets that Kakashi was a NBU and has no qualms about using lethal measures of gaining information. Sasuke, on the other hand, is annoyed that their enemy is lecturing him on preserving his chakra. He might be mad, but in his lucid moments, Jiken shows himself to be very intelligent. It would be wrong to underestimate him. Direct interrogation probably won't work in this case. Kakashi feels the same. You know about the Nara technique, he points out. Considering it's only used for assassinations, people outside of Konoha shouldn't know about it. The Nara are an old and distinguished clan, Jiken recites, a slightly mocking note to his words. I lived in a hovel near them. Too busy with their important, official matters to notice a child starving outside their front door. Such were the advisors to the Hokage. He notices something and a bitter smile appears on his face. Oh, this surprises them, does it? Their beloved village, not perfect? The lies they've been told. Indeed, Boruto and Konohamaru shift uncomfortably at this, but Naruto and Sasuke aren't as taken aback. Both were orphans, and in different ways, both grew up seeing a darker side of the village than most people did. Even Kakashi has experienced some facets of this. If you don't fit a certain mold, often you fall through the cracks. Wait, you lived in Konoha? Naruto demands. But Kakashi-sensei, I thought you said he was a clone? Didn't you say Orochi? Don't say it. Jiken explodes, pale face turning a mottled puce. The insane look in his eyes returns, and his entire body shakes as he fights against the shadow holding him. Monsters don't get names. His voice lowers into a growl. Deceptive, coward, sneak, liar. He saw a poor child on the street, lonely, unwanted. All the boy wanted was to be a shinobi, and there was no way. He climbed trees outside the academy, stared through the window, just to learn. Not enough money. His parents didn't care, Jiken mutters, almost whispering angrily to himself. When the snake man came, he promised food and training, a gift. Happy day, happy day, happy day. Lies. Insanity is not something that the assembled genin have ever encountered, and Kakashi can tell they are all confused by the shifting moods of their quarry. Konohamaru, too, looks slightly unsettled, though he remains in control. Cornering an enemy who is so out of touch with reality and sense can be unpredictable. In a way, it might be more dangerous than his ability to teleport. The best thing is to allow him his stage to speak, and take cues from what topics he reacts to. Change the face of the boy, Jiken continues, eyes staring into the distance at something none of them can actually see. So many needles and knives. He shudders. Make the outside match the inside, to match to borrowed powers. He stares hard at Naruto. Eyes like yours. And hair. Never good enough. Never strong enough, fast enough. He is breathing hard now, apparently falling apart in front of them, and then, with an abruptness that feels jarring to the gathered shinobi, he appears to shake himself back into sense. There are many books on the Nara in this place, he says conversationally, as sober as if nothing of consequence just happened. It's as if a screen has passed over him, and a different person speaks now. Calm and collect, no sign of the mania from before. Other clans as well. Like the Uchiha. Now he looks at Sasuke. The girl was also an Uchiha, yes? Curious, I thought they all died. Except for 2. She's not the other, is she? The question might be asked in innocence, but Kakashi recognizes a counter-interrogation tactic when he hears one. He also recognizes topics that press his students' buttons, and rather than give Sasuke the opportunity to react to mention of his brother, he interrupts. What does it matter to you who she is? You tried to kill her. Twice. They see too much, Jiken dismisses. Can't have interference. We both agree on that, at least. Not the other, though. Pluck out the eyes, cut off the head of the snake, the body will die. He giggles, and if he could move he would probably nod to himself. Yes, not for the first time today Kakashi finds himself at odds for what to do. The man they have, for all intents and purposes, trapped, is clearly completely and utterly insane. Any mental stability he seems to have is fleeting, and even then, it comes and goes so swiftly it might as well be non-existent. Jiken's emotions turn from savage one moment, to detached and neutral the next. A coping mechanism, most likely. Given what Kakashi knows of Orochimaru's experiments, both the reports he has read in the past and his own encounters with them, it's understandable. There are only a few options open to a survivor of mental and physical torture. In Mumiya's case, he embraced his baser, more destructive and violent urges. However, he was likely a murderer before he became a test subject. This man, this ghostly reminder trapped before them, who so closely resembles Minato Namikaze but lacks all of his warmth, is an utterly different story. On the heels of that thought, Kakashi shifts his attention to Naruto for a second, attempting to gauge how the boy is taking all of this. The Uzumaki boy stares at Jiken, completely tense, and eyes riveted on the man with the same focus that is usually associated with Sasuke. Naruto's attention is almost desperate, taking in every detail and trying to figure out what parts of their opponent resemble his father, and what parts are the result of experimentation. Naruto's stomach rolls and he can't help wanting to throw up. He wonders who has it worse, himself or his teacher. He has nothing else to compare his father to. No memories, only barely noticed pictures in history books and a face carved into a cliff. But Kakashi, he actually knew him. With an excellent memory and a Sharingan that can throw the differences into agonizing relief, it must be even harder for Kakashi to look on Jiken now and just see a perversion of the face he is so familiar with. Beyond superficial looks, the most sickening thing in all of this is the obvious lack of sanity in the pitiful man before them. That doesn't make sense, Konohamaru counters. You attacked us before you even knew Sarada had a Sharingan. Jiken ignores him, lowering his voice and speaking in a harsh whisper. It's as if there is someone there none of them can see. Must get back to work, it's coming close to the time. Yes, but they don't know their part. Do you think they're the right ones this time? Yes, of course. Just look at the boy. No question. What boy? Naruto demands. Apologies, did you say something? Jiken replies, blinking owlishly as sense returns to him. This is going to take forever, Sasuke grumbles. Aside from Jiken's mental state, there is something off about the guy. Savage one moment, but he still hasn't yet made any actual lethal moves against them. He's even said himself he didn't kill Boruto and Konohamaru's teammate, but brought him somewhere. And from what Sarada mentioned, even when he tries to attack, he shows some kind of guilt afterward. It's like going after people who haven't done anything to him is something he's fighting himself on. On the other hand, even if he is fighting with some kind of second self, that doesn't completely excuse him, or make him any less dangerous. Even if one side of him has no need to harm them, the other might. And if that part of him decides that he wants them all dead, the warding and shadow clones won't be a problem. That's a cause for concern, because it means maybe he's just waiting for something else to happen. And if that's the case, that small shred of intelligence is more than Sasuke is comfortable with. A strong opponent with serious mental issues is not a good thing. You know what? I'm sick of this. Boruto declares impatiently. How about we get back to what really matters? Like my teammate. What do you mean, you brought Mitsuki to the goddess? What goddess? If you killed him, I swear I'm going to kill him? Jiken questions. Why would I kill him? That would be counterproductive. You said you wanted to pluck out his eyes. A body does not need eyes to function. In point of fact, eyesight is a superfluous sense in many cases. And the staring. Jiken shudders, and in his manic voice mumbles. Hollow, hollow, hollow. Like the dead. He chuckles again. His eyes remain. She doesn't like it when I take the eyes. Something like genuine fear replaces his mania. She was angry when I spoke of it. If they hadn't tripped the wards, I would have been punished. Another barely contained shudder. By who? Konohamaru questions. The goddess? They expect more fearful mutterings, but instead a truly serene demeanor falls over the pale man. She is benevolent and good. The savior, he whispers, reverent. Then the reverence becomes hatred. He destroyed her, ruined her. Twisted and distorted, made me watch. I died, over and over I died, but then I lived again. All because of her favor. Hatred becomes thoughtfulness again. Who else but a goddess can do that? Only she can offer a constant reprieve from death. Made the boy stronger, made him able to run, to escape. Mitsuki? Boruto questions. I think he's talking about himself, Sasuke realizes. You mean he was brought back to life over and over? Naruto shudders. Man, I was right about zombies. Naruto might be attempting to deflect the situation with humor, but his disgust and apprehension are evident. Kakashi has to give his team points for keeping up with the narrative. Even he has had trouble with what Jiken is saying. His story is disjointed and confusing, and barely meaningful without a lot of reading between the lines. What he does understand is even more disconcerting than the imagery Jiken has provided them with. In a way, Jiken is a prime example of what might have happened to Kakashi's former subordinate, Tenzo, if the boy hadn't been abandoned by Orochimaru. It seems the Sanin's experiments didn't end with trying to replicate the first Hokage's Mokutan. Based on his appearance and the abilities, Jiken was meant to be a grotesque recreation of the Lord Fourth, possibly even the second Hokage, now that I think of it. He's got the same unyielding quality to him that I've heard Tobirama Senju was known for. Though I think Lord Second was probably less insane. Whatever the original intent of the experiment, something happened which involved him dying and being brought back. In which case, Kakashi thinks Kabuto was probably involved. Only very strong medical ninjutsu could do that. Or this mysterious goddess he's talking about. Maybe a combination of both. In any case, the repeated resurrection process has completely addled his brains. Maybe to the point that Orochimaru thought he was a lost cause. Kakashi feels a red-hot swell of anger course through him. He has often felt an ongoing, growing hatred toward the former Konohanin, not least of all because of his interest in Sasuke. Kakashi's protege sometimes feels more like a kid brother, and the idea of someone wanting to interfere with him makes him overprotective, especially if that man is the type of person who is known for abducting children from their homes and running experiments on them. Experiments which were apparently not limited to granting secret abilities, but also altering DNA and physical looks. There's enough mental trauma in being experimented upon, but to look in the mirror every day and see a face that isn't your own? No wonder he's so dissociative. How did you get away? Boruto asks. Time skipped. She made time skip? The boy ran away, escaped. Hid. The place was locked up. He didn't return, and so I came back, Jiken whispers. Had to. Had to save her, or he would ruin her. But she was gone. Dead eyes, no soul. He moans here, and then that manic gleam returns. But the boy watched the experiments, knew the one who killed him over and over. Enough times I knew how to do it. She was a discarded husk, left here when he couldn't make her do any more. Failed experiment. But I knew. He giggles. And she knew, too. That I would return, that I would save her. She would only change time for me, not him. Nurse her back to health. The boy became a willing servant. Because we'll fix it, you see? Fix what? Konohamaru asks. It's for the greater good, the man tells them, matter of fact once more. Really, no cause to harm anyone else. The greatest good is served, is it not? What's the greatest good? Sasuke asks. Why, killing the snake man, of course. Jiken rolls his eyes. Haven't you been listening to a word I've said? No one knows exactly how to react to Jiken's statement. For several seconds as they try to process, both the remnants of Team 7 and Team Konohamaru are still. Naturally, it's Naruto that breaks that silence. That's kind of overkill, don't you think? He asks. Yeah, Boruto agrees. Usually when people try to assassinate other people, they hire shinobi or just do it themselves. They don't really bend time and space to do it, you know? Which is a matter I would like to know more about, Kakashi interrupts, frowning at Jiken. How have you done this? Or should I say, how did this goddess of yours do it? I've been trying to destroy him for years, Jiken says conversationally, as if he hasn't heard Kakashi. What he did to the boy and the goddess, there must be punishment. But it has never been possible. Snakes are smart. A step ahead, he was always a step ahead. And the knife man, he gives a hiss of disgust. Standing there, never could see his eyes, bright lights on glass while he sliced, and sliced, and sliced. He shudders, mood shifting back to calm. And, of course, the brainless volunteers to the cause. I believe you've met them already. His eyes linger on the still healing wounds that Kakashi's ripped flak jacket cannot hide. You didn't answer the question, Sasuke points out. Jiken giggles. How do you kill the unkillable? He queries in a sing-song that has the hair on the back of Naruto's back stand on end. How to stop a creature that can no longer die? Find a time when he could, Kakashi guesses, eyes widening in realization. You're trying to go back in time to before the snake Sannin had mastered his ability to shed his body at will. A child. A helpless, weak child, Jiken hums happily. Apropos, no? Go far enough back, there will be no resistance. Long before all he touched turned to rot and poison, but you reached into the future, Konohamaru says. You're not from our time, you'd have recognized the Kota right away if you were. Oro, Jiken growls, and Konohamaru quickly catches himself. I mean, the Sannin wouldn't be an easy opponent these days. Miscalculations, missteps, acceptable in the pursuit of the greater good, the white-faced man says flatly. Once perfected, the goddess will open the door to the correct time, and he will be nothing but a dream for the universe. The assembled Konoha shinobi exchange glances, each of them showing different degrees of conflict. Considering what Orochimaru has done, Naruto can't exactly fault their opponent for his plan. They're talking about the man that killed the third Hokage, infected Naruto's best friend with a dangerous curse seal, and tried to blackmail Granny Tsunade using her dead brother and lover as collateral. There's no way the man is what you would call an innocent target. But still, the lengths to which this Jiken guy has gone to, with his mysterious and creepy-sounding goddess, are way too dangerous. He's done all of this without a care to the people he might be harming, or the fact that he might tear apart reality. My life occasionally sucks, but it's still mine, and a better option than whatever might happen if this guy manages to pull off his little vendetta. Sasuke, too, is torn upon hearing Jiken's motives. On the one hand, he hates Orochimaru for placing the curse seal upon him, granting him an opportunity to touch power, but without truly wielding it. Despite giving him more potential, he is dependent and limited, two feelings he dislikes more than any other. On the other hand, to have someone as powerful as Orochimaru be destroyed, when he still might have information the village might benefit from, or rather, information Sasuke might benefit from to become more powerful and defeat Itachi, Kakashi is wary. There is a certain unscrupulous logic to what Jiken is proposing, but it's a dangerous and mad plan, including far too many factors and producing even more unknown outcomes. After so many years away from the village, Orochimaru has suddenly appeared in Konoha several times in the past few months, suggesting the village's future might involve him. Based on the behavior of Konohamaru and his team, it might be even more than Kakashi himself can imagine. Destroying him before he grows up to become a threat might be potentially more problematic than Jiken thinks. Konohamaru is on the same page as him. As much as the old snake scares the crap out of me, you can't kill him, he tells the pale man within the wards. The legendary Sannin are an integral part of our heritage. And the snake Sannin, his relationship with the village is complicated. There are matters he's part of, important battles and trials, and it's just a bunch of stuff. Hey, if it weren't for him, there's certain people who would destroy the village instead of saving it. So him dying now, that would change everything. Kakashi is likely the only one to notice the way Konohamaru's eye flit to Sasuke, and he feels something in his stomach drop. From the sound of it, his student's future is not going to be an easy one. It's less of a surprise to him, however, than the news that Orochimaru will still be alive in the future. That's not certain. Jiken snaps. The world existed before him, yes it did. People will survive, soldier on. Think how many who he killed might be equally, if not more able to help. Equal and opposite reactions. When one door is closed, another opens, such is the way of the universe. And so to get this perfect universe of yours without this snake man, you hurt everyone in your path? Boruto interrupts with a shout. That's bull. How about instead of us trying to defend one nutcase from another, you tell us what taking Mitsuki has to do with your crazy scheme? 'Cause I don't care about your childhood trauma, I care about my friend, and he's not your snake guy, so if you hurt him, of course he is not him. Jiken rolls his eyes. Upon further experimentation, that was clear. Experimentation? Boruto repeats, his entire body going stiff. I thought you said you didn't hurt him? No long-lasting physical damage was sustained by the juvenile, Jiken confirms. As I said before, it would be counterproductive. His smiles, eyes wild with mad glee. The key, you see? The blood is the key. Unexpected, but part of the plan. The goddess provides gifts. Only to the most patient, the most faithful. She saw that mistakes were being made, one foot then, another now another. He shakes his head. Throwing darts in the wind. One never knows where they'll end up. But blood calls to blood. Like to like bait for a fish. The right amount and... He sighs. The path is set, the door will open, and he will be brought through, and then you'll kill him, Sasuke finishes. Just so, Jiken says with a nod. I don't get it, Naruto mutters under his breath. What does blood have to do with it? It could have to do with blood types, Konohamaru replies quietly. Some jutsu are entirely dependent on certain blood types, and you're saying Mitsuki has one of those? Boruto challenges. Jiken cocks his head to one side, ignoring the interchange. Where are the others, do you think? The little girl with the pretty hair. Dead, perhaps? Sakura's alive. Naruto snaps, and Sarada, Boruto insists. Perhaps. Perhaps, but I don't think so, Jiken sings again. Ah, well, so tragic. So young. But perhaps for the best. Shut up, Sasuke growls. He will save their lives when he kills the snake. Quiet, Kakashi says all of a sudden, and the harshness in his voice surprises. Everyone stares at him in surprise. What is it, Kakashi-sensei? Naruto asks. Rambling aside, he's talking too easily, Konohamaru interrupts. Right, yes, there's that, Kakashi agrees. And there's the fact that the shadow binding jutsu faded about 3 minutes ago. Everyone startles, noting that the Jonin is correct. Jiken is standing casually in the circle, untethered and looking utterly unbothered. He noticed this before, but didn't try to escape again. Why should I? Jiken wonders. You tried before, Naruto says. Of course I did, you all seemed so keen to keep me here. He lowers his voice. They would have thought it was suspicious, if he didn't try to look like he was escaping. They have to stay. The goddess says they have to stay, and so he'll answer the questions. It's fun to watch their faces. He giggles again.